I'm gonna use that.
All right, welcome to the ninth episode of Godly Table Talk. Woo! They're back. They're back. I got two older women, two younger men, and we talking about relationship mistakes. And you know they raw, you know they honest. So this is gonna be one for the books. So y'all, we gonna pray. You gonna introduce yourself, and we gonna talk about relationship status. All right. God, we just thank you for tonight. We thank you that you are dwelling on this call with us, on this table with us, God. Speak through us, Father God. Let your Holy Spirit reign. Let your Son, Jesus Christ, reign through us and help someone in this conversation, God. And God, we thank you for this table and we thank you for your only Son, Jesus. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all. So introduce yourselves, how old you are, where you from, and how many committed relationships you have had. Jeremy, we gonna start with you.
Why the youngest gotta go first, man? She's
It's got to be somebody.
well, I'm Jeremy Leslie, aka Chef. You already know who it is. What's going on, gang? God got Leslie at God got Leslie, all IDs, Twitter, whatever. Uh 28. Committed relationships for real though. Two.
All right, two committed relationships. Okay. Oh, what you got?
Poirier, from West Palm. Been here all my life, most of my life, not all my life, but most of my life. I would say two committed relationships. One of them out of the two is on and off for over 6-7 years.
Currently?
No, no, not
okay.
currently.
Danelli, what you got, Danelle?
I would say
your name, age.
Oh, you just said my name. Okay. Hey, it's Danelle again. What's up, people? 49 committed relationships that I was committed. 3. I was committed. Let's just be clear with that. Not the other people, but okay.
No pettiness in the room.
I'm just keeping it real.
Auntie, what you got, Miss Veronica?
Veronica from Georgia, all my life, 50 years old, and one committed relationship for 14 years.
All right. So we're talking about mistakes, right? So anything, we're having all this conversation, y'all. So don't shake your head first, Jeremy.
I don't make mistakes.
We just having an honest conversation. What is one mistake that you constantly may see yourself making in your relationships? What is one mistake you feel like is constantly being made in relationships today?
It's not a conversation for me. No, all serious. Communication, man. I feel like, especially for young men, I feel like it's difficult for us to have that level of communication where it's not like demasculating to us, but like it's presenting ourselves in a way, or like just like the day to day, like, hey, I don't feel like talking too much today, like X, Y, and Z. Here's my reasoning. So if we could just have a little space today, I'll be cool. Instead of just like going quiet and stepping into the house, so like that level of communication where you're able to present your emotions without like hurting your partner's feelings.
That's deep. Danelle, what you got? Do you do that, Jeremy?
What's like which part? Well, because for the not like I'm not angrily like stumping or anything. I'm not about to just be an angry human being, no. But I've like had moments where I wasn't in the best of mood, and it wasn't at my partner. I just didn't feel like discussing the things or the predicament that put me in that mood at that moment. But like with like my communication comes later once I kind of analyze everything that I went through, then and once it makes sense to me, then I can present that information to you. But if I didn't do the study and the homework, how can I be ready for the test?
Fair enough.
That's deep. That's deep. So, okay. Oh, what is one mistake you feel like is currently happening in relationships today? Like, what do you feel like people are doing that are making their relationships unsuccessful?
I think people are just coming into it with you want to go into it with an expectation, but I think the expectation is just higher than what it probably needs to be. I think if people would just get to know each other first and see if they can work with each other, it'll be the expectation will be different. I mean, obviously, if you meet someone, versus if you meet someone, you just say, you know what, I like you as a person, think you cool, you're a good woman. I think it's more like, can you do this and are you, do you make this? And it's more of things that it's unexpectations. You have these high expectations versus it just being like, do you love me for me, or or you just want this model of something that you're looking for in your mind. So I think that's what it is. I think it's people in their head. It's the way what they see in their mind. That's all.
Ooh. Well, I agree with Okoye. I feel like when I was coming up, I say in my 20s, it was different. Dating was fun in my 20s. It was fun. Yeah, you have MySpace and little stupid stuff, but you didn't have the internet where everybody put their whole life out there. Everybody's entrepreneur. Everybody's, doing Bitcoin. Everybody's doing this. Everybody's living a high life. Everybody's driving a Benz. It's just, and so these people are out there looking for these kind of people. And then, if you're not, or if you don't have this persona, then, half the time the women don't want to be bothered with the men. And the man is like, she ain't doing nothing for herself. I don't want to be bothered with her. So it's like, okay, so because everybody's not living that life. Like 95% of y'all are not in the 1% with that tax bracket. So
and Atlanta's full of flexers too, boy.
Yeah. And it's like, who's really living the life? Because you see these people, they're at the lounges, they're at the clubs, they're posting their vacations, but these people still living with their mama. They still, you don't know what is going on behind the scenes that is allowing them to do these things. And, you probably got like 5 roommates. You understand what I'm saying? It's just a facade.
Did you say 5 roommates?
What? Look, if the rent is $3,200 and they split it 5 ways, you can live.
I mean, yeah, I'm about to say people do that jump. They do that though.
I know somebody right now got 7 people living in an apartment. And they can do whatever they want to do because it's 7 ways. Don't ask me if they got bunk beds. I don't know, but anyway, look, they able to. It's just a persona. So it's like Who are you? Who am I meeting? How do you just have to use discernment. I know we talked about this before. You have to use discernment because and I have to pray because I'm like, God, I don't know. I don't even know who I'm talking to. Even with the online dating, everybody has a profile. And then when you start talking to them, it ain't nothing like what the profile is. So you really don't know what you're getting nowadays. You really don't. Like Okoye said, you have to really get to know people. You have to do your research, ask the right questions. And if somebody have an issue, one of the red flags for me is when somebody don't want to answer questions. Because I feel like the whole point of getting to know someone is to ask questions. Ask me questions. I'm going to ask.
You think that's fair though to judge someone? You think that's fair? Like if you, like you just said, I can understand what you're saying, asking questions, but if you comfortable with just asking somebody a question? It depends. Like, do you feel like if you were to ask a guy a question and he's kind of like hesitant, do you feel that he feel comfortable with you yet or no?
I mean, you have to get to know someone. So if we're talking and we're just getting to know someone, I feel like we're getting to know one another. How else do you get to know someone if you don't ask questions? We just both sitting here looking at each other. I look good, you look good, but what else is there? What are we doing?
I got you.
I ain't got that time to waste. I mean, I'm 49 and it's really not about the age so much, but yeah, I'm 49. I don't have time to waste. I don't have time to sit on the phone and just listen to somebody breathe. I did that when I was a teenager. Maybe in my 20s, I like he's just on the phone. Hey, boo. He breathing. Okay. We're not doing that no more.
You see how upfront you are? I think I'm similar too. Do you think that'll make a woman comfortable if I was so upfront with like, yo, what's up? What you want? Like, what you looking for? Do you think if a man was to approach a woman the same way how you are, I'm similar like you are too, you think that they will be accepting towards that?
I feel like the person that's going to be for you is going to be accepting of who you are 100%.
if you were
they're going to be accepting of you 100%. They may not like everything. I mean, I've been in relationships. I didn't like everything about the person, but when I got to know them and love them, the things that I didn't like, the good outweighed the bad, so to speak. You understand? And I feel like if you're getting to know someone, you're asking questions, you're talking, then they're going to get to know you and love you. And that's what you want. You don't want to sugarcoat. I don't want to sugarcoat.
But what usually happens, what I find usually happens when a man is asking that, I mean, a lot of times they're asking and they're going to be judgmental based on what you say. Like, I find that, they, ask you, well, what are you looking for? And it depends on how you asking me the question, right? So, sometimes I've heard it come 1,000 different ways, like, well, why are you not with somebody, or what's the problem? Or, I've seen it come 1,000 different ways.
Right.
So it just depends on the way that it's being asked. Like, what you looking for, or do you think you're ready for a relationship, or, just different types of ways that they're asking you. And if they truly are really trying to understand where you stand, versus just trying to, like, let me see what's up with you, why you what's the problem here? Right. So it just depends on how it's asked, right? So, I mean, I think sometimes it can be good to, like, just be authentic, and let the conversation flow sometimes.
Right.
And I feel like it'll come out, I'm gonna go ahead and get super spiritual with you guys. But I usually pray before I go and ask God to guide the conversation. So whatever needs to come out, let it go and come out. Because like Danelle say, like, you just don't want to waste a lot of time. So, I mean, sometimes I just have to laugh at what actually comes out during a first date. I just have to laugh because I'm like, wow, I mean, the last first date, like, I went on with a guy, I mean, when I tell you got super deep, it went there. Like, and I mean, all I could do is laugh because I prayed before I went. And I was like, well, what is it that I know? Why did I meet this person? Why did they come into my life? Because I'm on a, like I told you, this the old lady wisdom here. I'm in the kingdom of God, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be different if I was out here like I was and didn't know any better. I just know better now. Like, I know what side I'm on. I know that I have a father who is looking out for me and watching over me. So, I'm like, I know I met this person. Either the devil want to impart something in my life, or I'm supposed to impart something in their life. So what's up? I'm going to pray before I go. And the conversation many a times have went places. All I can do is laugh like, God, you funny. Like, it just goes there. And it usually authentically happens. I think I have like a truth serum or something that all type of things come out. Like, and it may be because I just have this cool type vibe and I make men comfortable just being themselves, and I think because I'm myself, I feel like I'm an authentic person, like, that's just how I am. And so I show up that way. And I think when you make them comfortable, the whole situation ain't no stress. What's up? You know what I'm saying? Everything's cool.
Right.
There's no stress, and when you kind of set that atmosphere, it's kind of, a lot of things gonna come out when you just, just vibing and talking.
So, Makai, do you think you make men feel comfortable, or in the past, do you feel like you make men feel comfortable? Like Veronica just said, do you feel like when a guy is, so you do make a guy feel comfortable when he's talking to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I already know the answer.
Fortunately,
you'll say, yeah, okay.
I mean, they would literally tell me their entire life.
Yes, I get that.
I mean, fortunately,
yes, I will go to the bar just to sit at the bar and read a book or read something. And I mean, it's like they just can't, like, they can't stay away from me. They just come sit beside me. And I mean, literally, I hear, oh, my ex-wife, she did this. My kids are in New York. Like, I'm sitting here like,
I went to the bar recently with Danelle, and I was just surprised to see an African-American male at the bar studying. So I just started, because I'm naturally inquisitive. My mom is a who, what, when, where, and why. And so because she's like that, I'm just naturally inquisitive. So I just started asking him, what you reading? What you studying? And so he just knew I was in love with him. but I just was just surprised. I just wanted to know what you was doing at the bar reading, because you don't see a lot of people sit at the bar reading and studying for school.
Sometimes I will go to the bar and I'll sit there, and if I'm reading a book, I'll read it, especially when I go to Bahama Breeze, because I go to the bar outside. I just go there, I know when I'm about to sit there and read, and it's many a times that my book just did not get read.
So do you feel like, since you evolved, like you said before, you make guys feel comfortable to where they just want to spill their life open to you, or you experience the same thing, D?
Kind of, sort of. For me, it just depends. I feel like a lot of times for me, when they were like, so, you single? And I'm like, yo, how long you been single? And I'm honest. So when I tell them how long I've been single, then it's like, well, then they make a face. Either they make a face, or they're like, oh, you're so beautiful. Why you been single so long? So I either get that, or it'd be like, well, what's wrong? What happened?
Why is that always the question?
It's like, well, and that's like, for me, that's always the question, because like, especially when I do catering, and I meet people, I'm interacting, and they'll be like, oh, come meet Janelle, she's my caterer. And they're like, oh, you married, girl, somebody going to swap you up, and I'm just like, okay, where you at? And then we kind of get into a conversation like that, and they're like, are you single for real? And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, and if we start talking, yeah. Like, but is that abnormal? I feel like I'm like this, you know what I mean? Like this alien.
A unicorn.
It's not normal for people to be, single for so long and abstinent at that. It's like, really? What's wrong with you?
Jeremy, you had a question. What's up? Put your hand up. You had a question.
I forgot it now. I forgot it. I got it. She was spilling her truth, and I completely went out of my ear.
So what's one of the, like, you meet a person, what's the first thing y'all look at? Like, you meet someone, and we're talking about relationships.
I want to hear the women's opinion. First.
Ms. Veronica, what's the first thing you look at when you meet someone?
I usually look at their appearance. And
what specifically though? She want to know specifics. Like,
I mean,
what is your telltale now? What is your telltale sign to know this man in front of you ain't for you?
I don't know. When I look at them, I just can tell yes or no, and that's discernment. Which I just,
and they always talks about.
Yeah, it's usually some type of discernment, but there are times where God will have me continue to talk to somebody, and I'm like, okay, I'm not sure exactly why, but it'll come out eventually why I have to continue to talk to the person. But so I don't always be like, you ain't for me. I take it as an opportunity to either, allow God to impart some knowledge, or, if they have something to say to me, sometimes information they give to me is good as well. I think I used to get frustrated by guys saying, oh, why are you single? Why this? Why that? But I think because I'm not as frustrated anymore, they don't really ask, because I think they can tell that, I'm a quality person, and it's not a lot of quality people in the world right now. It's just not, so I think they're having struggles as well, because I can come down their street too. Like, why are you single? Like, come on, this ain't no one. Like, it'd be different if you could just jab me and I'm not gonna jab you back. Right. Like, I'm like, you're the American most wanted, especially if you're a Black dude. You're the American most wanted. Why are you by yourself? How long you been by yourself? As a matter of fact, because it's a problem. Like, don't make me start really getting into the real thing here. Everybody wants y'all, so you got your pick of the litter. What's the problem? So please don't come over here.
Now, what's
don't start none, won't be none. You know what I'm saying? So let's all let's keep it equal. Let's keep it equal. So if you think you want to come down my street and interrogate me, I could definitely come for you. Like, don't do it, because everybody want them a man, and then you're an African American man. So if everybody wants you and you having a problem, then you might want to think. So don't come to my throat.
Janelle, what's your go-to? What you looking for?
Honestly, I'm looking at appearance, but teeth and hands. are.
Why teeth and hands, sis? Like, why teeth and hands?
That's valid.
I told the story many a times before. Went to a food truck outside my job, and this construction worker was fine. I mean, fine as fine. And I was just like, ooh. And we were standing, he came and stood next to me in the line. I was like, how you doing? And when I looked up, he was missing about 4 teeth.
Oh, my God.
I was mad. When I tell you I was mad because he was.
What if he lost him in the job?
He was really beautiful, like seriously. And I feel like I know construction workers got good benefits. I know you making money. What is the reason for the missing teeth? Like seriously, I have an issue with women that make bad decisions. No, seriously. I mean, these are things that we can control somewhat. Your hands, your feet, your teeth, you can control these things. Weight, I've been overweight, so I'm not going crazy about nobody with their weight, but I'm at a healthier lifestyle. I'm living a healthier lifestyle now. So I primarily would want someone that is seeking to do that or is doing that. But initially, when I'm looking, I love a good smile.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's just me.
That's sweet. Okoye, what you got?
I gotta be sexually attracted to you first. And then it'd be the intellect be second for me.
So she don't have a big booty? What do you like? Booty, boobs?
Thighs. It's all kind of all go in the same package, because if you look good and you're not smart, then it don't work for me. So you gotta be attractive and you gotta be intelligent.
Valid, because if you stupid,
does proportion matter to you? Because out here it's you can get a lot of this and not a
BBL.
Well, see, I don't like attention too much, so I don't want you to just be, I just want normal. I don't want you to be, just be in between.
You don't want nobody with a BBL.
No,
okay. You want them to be natural.
The thing, I prefer natural women, and just because of the attention, I don't like too much attention, and then too, like all that stuff is just is to me make me look at you vain in a way. I mean, I don't know. I got to hear your reason on why you got it, because I get every woman just want to be pretty. Every woman want to look good, so I get it. But I was talking to this chick, and that's all she talked about. It's a turnoff to me because it calls too much attention unnecessarily. So, you know what I'm saying? Be confident what you got.
Jeremy, that's deep, Okoye.
First thing I'm looking at is hair. I mean, I'm just going to be honest about it.
Be honest. What you like?
Okay.
You're looking at somebody's hair.
Yes, absolutely. I am a fan of the natural. Just to be very honest about that. So, like, if your hair is
natural black or natural mixed?
It's a great question. I take natural either way.
Okay.
I just prefer
do a
natural.
4C or not?
I prefer natural, just because, like, I like to touch hair. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. You don't like to touch tracks. Got it.
Here's the thing. Tracks, like, girls don't let you touch their tracks. They don't let you touch their weave and wigs. They don't be letting you do that.
I agree.
Exactly. And
I mean, it depends on how you touch it. If you grabbing, then we got a problem. But if you like, just it's been a while. I don't know.
I hate that. I hate that. When I wear my hair out, sometimes people be dudes be like, "Can I touch your hair?" Why? Like, why do you want to touch my hair?
Touch hair, Micaiah. I mean, I've heard that comment a lot. And
really?
Yeah. The last guy that I met, he said that he's like, "Man, I like your hair, man. I can put my hands all through your hair." So I've heard it several times. I mean, I think that we don't understand as women that they having a hard time out here. Like, they can't tell what a woman truly look like in a lot of cases. So
that's
I mean, I had a whole conversation with a guy about it. Like, he was taking the chick out and everything. She had her get up, but he was like, it took a minute before he even saw what was really going on, and he was like, "Oh no," because then like you got the lashes, you got the all the brows, you got the weave and the hairs, and it's just a lot for them.
There was this meme on the internet that was discussing how, like, a guy could go to sleep next to a girl and wake up with a totally different partner in the bed.
Yeah, especially if you go to sleep before she do. But whatever.
You know, I remember like watching the movies how the girl would get up early to make sure like her hair looked good. She had put makeup on her face. I'm not doing all that. What you see is what you get. Because I'm
the type of person I would get up and brush my teeth. That's about it.
Yeah, brushing teeth, cool.
All that other stuff, no, we're not doing. No.
They put on full faces and they wig just to make sure.
Just for it to get sweaty.
Jesus.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Does that mean she insecure? Or she's just not? What does that mean? I don't know.
That's a great question. Great question.
I don't. Sometimes I think it's how it's society.
Society.
To be honest, it is the microwave age. Everybody want it fast. It is the millennials. It is the Instagram. It is the Twitter. It's just the way the world is now.
That's what it is. Okay.
When my kids were in high school, and I would go to the high school for different events, my kids, they ran track. And I'd be like, full on weave. You 14 years old and you got a full on weave, 10,000 baby hairs. And I'm like, where are you going? You are 14 years old. What is happening? And who is your parent that is allowing this? My daughter, she got a weave. The first weave she got, I think she was like 16 for prom or something. Like at 14 years old, 13 years old, they in middle school and then starting high school, and they've already had weaves, many of them, like glue downs and all this. It's like
they be having lashes now too.
And lashes. I used to, Makai, you remember that girl from the Waffle House? She wore glasses, but her glasses was all the way down here because her lashes were so long that she had to wear her glasses all the way on the tip of her nose because 15 years old. Where are we going? Mm-hmm. But it's so normal for them. You know, it's normal for them. Like I even tell my daughter now, she about to be 20, and I'm like, please don't get a wig. Why you gotta wear a wig? I want you to get braids. I want you to do this. Wear your natural hair. But because she is around the girls that always have, she got 2 or 3 girls that in the dorm, they all wear wigs. Mm-hmm. And they do wigs.
Yep.
Wait a minute. I'm not gonna lie. I like a good weave though. I ain't gonna lie.
No, I like a good weave, but not that glue down.
No,
all that craziness.
I like a good weave though.
A good sewing can go a long way.
I think most women, venture out a little bit. Mm-hmm. If it's not braids, it's a weave, or at least with the partial weave with the hair left out, type thing. But I think when it's all the time and a man just can't see you being your natural self, I believe it does speak volumes about who you are and what you're trying to portray. And it could be a lot of like insecurities. Sometimes people just not comfortable with how they naturally look,
And that goes back to you not loving yourself.
And that's a problem. So how are you gonna be in a relationship with someone if you don't love yourself?
Girl, let me tell you.
But look,
they do it all the time. People been in relationships 20 years and still don't love themselves.
Part of marriage is dying to yourself. But if you don't love yourself, then how can you die?
So tell me what it looks like. Person. You tell me what it looked like for you to love yourself. That's number one. Like, who told you how to love yourself? Who told you that?
That's a good question.
Who told, and what does it look like? What does self-love look like?
Yeah, because most people don't have a clue.
They don't have a clue.
Every day
nobody ever told them.
Every day I get up,
don't even love themselves.
Every day I get up, I have to tell myself I'm beautiful. But I really, to be completely honest, I didn't feel beautiful until I was 28, and I spent a lot of time in the presence of God, and I found out what true beauty is to Him, and it changed the way I looked at beauty.
But the key word here you said is beauty, right? That's completely different from I love myself. All of me, including my faults, including the good things, including the bad things, and really mean it. I love myself.
That's a good point. I mean,
it has nothing to do with no looks. It has nothing to do with what you got. It's just, I love myself. If you take away everything else, then can you truly say you love yourself? Where does the real balance come from?
So then how can we be in successful relationships?
It's very difficult when you don't even love yourself.
Let me ask you this question.
Or know how to love yourself.
I got a friend that's he's 50, and he was just saying, he's been spending his whole time loving his wife, and now he's at a point where he never got that back on himself. So Jeremy, let me ask you this, because you're a guy. Because to me, I'm trying to think as they saying, shoot, because my love is different from how I love myself from how another guy would. So what would be a self-love for a guy, in your opinion, Jeremy? And I'll get my answer later.
Self-love for a guy? Having respect for himself, man. I feel like, especially in society nowadays, so men, like, of course, like you chase women, whatever you find, you go find a wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some men get to a point where they settle for whatever, like it's because of that lust feeling or that emotional attachment they want, or the attention they're craving, their lust for attention. They'll settle for women that's not up to class with them, and they lose that self-respect. I feel like you have to have, for a man, you have to have a certain level of respect. You got to know your value and your worth. And a lot of that can come through knowing God and knowing yourself. And once you kind of get to that self-actualization, once you get to that, so Maslow hierarchy of needs, I talk about it all the time. There's 5 things. I want to pull this up for you guys. It's a great education point. But in a sense, there's 5 different things where it leads to self-actualization. I'm literally pulling up right now, though. But the top of the board is self-actualization. The bottom of the board is physiological needs, like, breathing, food, water, shelter. Then you have safety and security, love and belonging, self-esteem, and self-actualization. Till a man gets to a point where he actually knows who he is in this world and how he moves and how he operates, then for me, you don't really love yourself because you haven't gave yourself a chance to get to know yourself.
But Jeremy, you said something profound. You said that you have to get it. You receive it from who? You get that from God.
Jesus.
Exactly.
Jesus.
My life changed when I found out who I was in the kingdom of God. Then the world no longer mattered because I know who I am in God, and who I am in God matters much more.
You move differently. I believe that you move so much more differently when you know who you are in God, right? Because you're not like an orphan, you're not a bastard. You are a child of God, and He has promises for you, right? So you just come into a whole new, I say, view of who you really are in Him,
right?
And how much He truly loves you. And so then you just move differently. You just like, I'm a child of the King, so I can't be out here representing Him all foolishly. Like if I go to talk to somebody about God and they see how I'm moving, like they're gonna be like, "Girl, get out of here." They gonna laugh at you, like, "Really? You talking about Jesus? Get on, girl. You were just drunk and wilding out and doing all this stuff." And you're trying to talk to me about get out of here. You're literally like a joke, right? So once I begin to realize who I was, I just begin to act different and just hold myself different and be okay if somebody don't like me. You know what I'm saying? Really, truly, like, it's okay if you don't like me. But God likes me. He loves me. He is madly in love with me. And I have been adopted into the family. I have a wonderful, eternal family. So you just did me a favor, but I'm still going to pray for you.
Amen.
And it's okay. I mean, that's part of the problem. We don't go to God. we don't know who we are in God. And so because of that, you are lost. And we have a lot of lost children, a lot of lost parents, a lot of lost fathers and mothers because we're looking for the world to tell us who we are. And you get your identity from God. He created you. He put you in your mother's stomach. So you only will know your identity from God. And like Jimmy said, food, water, shelter, I will supply all your needs according to the riches and glory in Christ Jesus. So you receive that from God. Like that self-actualization, all that stuff that you listed, you can receive that from God. But a lot of us don't go to the source.
Yeah. And then I feel like then you have a foundation for a relationship, right? So what's your foundation for a relationship then? You know what I'm saying? So if you don't know who you are in God, you don't have, you don't love yourself. You have no basis of, like, okay, this is who I am. What's your foundation on a relationship? It's off of appearance, because they won't be cute after you keep saying the foolishness.
Right.
Like, for real. It won't be cute. And you know, the sexiness and the sex gonna wear off because you're like, you are so ridiculous. Can you please get out of my presence? I can't believe that I've been dealing with you this long. You know what I'm saying? And all of that's gonna wear off because your foundation was what? What was your foundation? The foundation of the relationship? It was sex. It was attraction. What's the foundation? Like, because the foundation is you get to the nitty gritty. When you find out a whole house can like go down and they'll knock it down, but the foundation is usually still there. So when you see that, you're like, yeah.
Nothing. Let me explain this. If the foundation is God, you can't fake it either. Because once the house get rocking, if your foundation is not sturdy in God, the way people like to say, I love God, and if it's not the way it's supposed to be, your foundation will crash and it will fall. Because it takes two to build a home, right? You know, two is better than one because they get a better reward for their labor. So it takes two people to build a home. It's a husband and wife come together, they build a home. And if one person's foundation is not there, the home will fall. It just will. And you can't lie about it, because once it get hard, you can't lie about that, because the foundation will fall. It will. And a lot of times we don't go to God. We just don't. I don't know why our generation feels like we can do life without God, or God is a choice, or they believe in God but they don't believe in Jesus. I see a lot of people have that mindset. Yeah, I believe in God but I don't believe in Jesus.
The universe, right? The higher power,
right?
I'm a spiritual being, so they don't want to say they're a Christian. They don't want to say.
How many times you heard that?
I know, right? I'm like, what?
I'm spiritual. Yeah. I'm spiritual.
Are you saying you know Jesus? I'm spiritual. What that mean?
I was like, when I met a guy every day, said that, I was like, I'm spiritual too. The very spirit that raised up Jesus Christ from the dead lives in me. You don't get no more spiritual than that. What you talking about? I was like, you know, you can impress me when you can pray for me and things change. Can you help raise the dead? Can you help heal the sick? You talk about spiritual. What you got? Let's see what's up.
And that's I mean, my thing is, I don't get how you can believe in God, but you can't believe in Jesus. But Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the light. No one gets to the Father but through me. So if you need Jesus, like the deliverer of your sins, you need Jesus. Like, I don't know. So
that's a whole, that's a whole story. Which, you have a lot of religions that don't believe in Jesus. They just believe he was a prophet, right? I told a guy recently, I don't know of any of the other prophets that raised from the dead. I don't, seriously, I'm serious. What happened over there when he came up out that grave? It shook the whole world. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, all right, you got your faith and you doing what you do. But it's only one that I know came up from the dead. And I'm telling you, they put guards because they was afraid. They were like, y'all might try to come out here and pull an okie doke on us. And one but one. Hey, and I'm rolling
the
with
guards
him.
Open the tube. He gone. What? He gone. Okay. Anyway. So that's the reality.
Do you feel like, because I know we're asking, different questions in regards to self-love, but in my experience, people just don't know. They don't know. No one's taught them. No one, or they weren't paying attention, or they don't believe. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, the reality is people have childhood trauma.
I was about to say, it's easy to happen that way when, like, I had a lot of childhood trauma, right? So, it took me years to understand what that did to me, and the fact that the very foundation of, like when you're growing up, that's when your foundation happens, right? 1 to 2, you're learning how to attach to love. And if there was instability there, you're going to be unstable when it comes to attaching in love situations. And then you got 2 to 4. Like, if you really look at the statistics on this stuff, it's really there. So the things that happen to you, you may not have no idea what it's like to truly feel love from your parents, because they had things going on and, they didn't show you love. So you really don't even know how to trust people, because the environment in which you grew up in was not an environment for trust. So you just really totally don't know. So, I mean, you got a whole story there that really messes you up. And I didn't know that until I got into some deep therapy. It took for me to get in therapy, like real therapy, for her to dig deep on what happened in my childhood, and for her to say, okay, now it's time to heal. And it's time to do these things so that you can help heal this little girl in you.
Now I did speak to someone. A lot of times people that grow up in toxic homes and they don't deal with the toxicity, they create toxic homes themselves because they're so equipped with the toxic. When the home is at peace, they can't deal with the peace. They need the toxic to survive. Like, if you're not used to peace, or you don't even know what peace looks like, and you're used to people today, they're happy with you, tomorrow they're not, you're used to toxicity, you stay in that toxic, and you create like toxic people.
You know what I hate, man? You know what I hate? The people who, I don't hate it. It's just, it irks me, the reassurance thing. Like, you constantly need me to tell you I love you every day. Or like every time we talk, I got to end the conversation with I love you. Like, I said it multiple times to you. And the way I act and how I carry myself with you should also say I love you. But if you constantly need that verbal reassurance, it's kind of a red flag for me for sure.
Corey, you have a question? Go ahead.
No, I wrote the question so I don't forget it. My question was,
that's good. Go
ahead. At what age, what time, and at what age can we stop using childhood trauma in relationships? And the only reason I ask that is because I think if you meet a man or a woman, and if you meet a woman and she have a lot of issues in the past, and it's affecting her in a relationship, is that a reason for me to just say, you know what, this isn't gonna work, or it's too much for me to deal with? I mean, and the only reason I'm asking this because I was watching this interview with Monique, and she said her husband had came to her. Y'all know Monique, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She was like, her husband came and was like, yo, like, you can't keep, you a grown woman. You know, I think she was over 30. She's like, you a grown woman. When you gonna stop using your trauma as an excuse for you to be, be whatever, whoever, be a woman, or when you gonna stop using your trauma to be angry or whatever? So just how, some women may feel like how you just said, D, earlier, if you ask a guy why you ain't married or whatever you may ask him, and he's kind of hesitant, and it brings back trauma in his mind, at what age is it, or time, you could just be like, you know what, I have trauma, I haven't dealt with it.
That's
really is acceptable or a good time to just face the facts of dealing with it.
I mean, can we really ask that question? Because you have to deal with it, though. And a lot of people don't want to.
Well, no, he's asking specifically, like, because, okay, I'm 28. Okay, you're 34, right? 35, 34?
33.
33. My apologies. Y'all, no offense to the young ladies that are in here, Micaiah, except for you, but Danielle and Veronica, y'all got some years on us, okay? What it's since, right, and both y'all 49, 50, if I heard the ages correctly. If a man is still blaming his childhood trauma, is that not a red flag for you at that age?
Absolutely, I think it is.
It can be. Yeah. It can be, unless your assignment is to help that person face it. Because someone has to help, right? And that's what we're here to do in the kingdom, is to make you disciples, right? And help better every situation we come into. So sometimes that may be your assignment, which is to help a man understand that, I think that you should seek therapy. I've talked to a couple of guys and said it, like, like, you're still mad at your ex, you're still talking about your ex.
To mad your mama.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's been 2 years or 3 years. Have you gotten therapy? And I don't mean it in a sarcastic way. It's a way for them to like look at the fact that I'm talking to you and I can hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have had several conversations, and this is what I'm seeing. And so no one can tell you when you're healed. That's number one. No one can tell you that, because even going to therapy, there are some bad therapists out there. There are some therapists that just do not know what they're doing. They just don't. And, there's some very good ones, and it can be hard to get to those good ones. And then it may take a little bit more time for you to walk through all the stuff you have gone through. So, I believe that everybody's process is different. But when you come into the process, I think if the person is trying then that's more to work with than somebody who's like, who going to therapy? I don't believe in therapy. You know what I'm saying? But you can see all the issues and all the problems. You're like, man, you need to be there every week.
Get out of here with that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, some people are serious, like they're not going to the therapist. But, you know, I think the healing process can be different for everybody. And, you know, it just takes time. You know, sometimes you can think you're healed from something till a situation actually comes up. And you can't understand why you're reacting the way you're reacting. And you're like, wait a minute, like, why am I so out of pocket with this? So it took a minute for me to see that sometimes people are pushing in a wound that started from my childhood. That situation that happened between us, because you sounded like my dad when I was a little child. And that's a real hot issue that I thought, you know, I had to talk this over. You know what I'm saying? You know, I thought I had taught it, had got this out of me, and you just press the button. So now what I got to do, you know, like, so that means it's a little bit more work. But if the partner or person is willing to kind of help you work through it, then that's great. But if not, then it's time for you to rethink, okay, what do I need to do now to get past?
I don't know. You know, sometimes they say somebody has been through so much childhood trauma that sometimes therapy that can't even help them. Sometimes God needs to literally come through and make them a clean heart and renew a right spirit within them, because sometimes childhood trauma, and this is a reality, parents, I mean, when we have hurt, we can really do some damage on some children when we're not dealing with our hurt. And so what can you say to a man or a woman who has so much hurt, like the world has come in and like damaged them? What can you say to someone? At what age will they get rid of it? What if they don't even realize that the hurt is so deep and it's so complex that they can't even imagine? You know, you have to take back the layers. So they can't even, you rip a little, if you just you peel the mango just a little bit, they going nuts. Like, what can you do?
I look at it as like the affectionate, fervent prayers of the righteous availeth much. And that's really all that you can do is, you know, now it's time to see what your prayer life is like. Because I know many of times my family has had to stand in the gap for me, and it changed who I was, changed the whole situation, because they banded together and they was like, okay, auntie going through this, so we need to pray. Even my sister was like, they get their kids, auntie going through, we need to pray for auntie. You know what I'm saying? So it helps, it matters. When you see someone like that, you can even get a prayer partner and say, we're going to call this person's name out. We're going to pray for them for the next week. And so we have to believe that if our prayers are truly effective and we are not praying amiss, that God will come in, because he's a loving God, and that he's going to come in and heal that person. Not on our time, not the way we think it should look. But, you know, I think that's the first thing is prayer, right? And it has to be effective. And once you begin to do that, I think, and I feel like you'll begin to see a difference in the person's life.
See, but like you said, you have to band together. And a lot of times people's mouths can be ridiculous. Go ahead, Janelle.
I wanted to say, I kind of feel like people have to want to be healed, right? People have to want to change. People have to want it. Sometimes people can be so deep in their mess, in their past, that they don't even think anything could ever change. And so you really have to, you know, pray and ask God, okay, am I just praying for this person from afar, or am I supposed to be in their life, you know, actively trying to work with them? Because it can be daunting. It can be tiresome. I know, you know, I get this from my mom. My mom is always, you know, praying for people and always helping people. And as I started to get older and I'm growing closer to God, and just my relationship was just growing, and I'm just like, dang, I'm like my mama. Like, I don't want to be like my mama. I don't want to help everybody. Because I used to get on my mom like, dang, really? Don't call my mom again. Like, my mom be like, she's a missionary at heart. Yeah. And I find myself being the same way, but it's just so natural for me.
The world needs us, Danelle. The world needs us. No lie. Like Tanya will tell you, when she first met me, I didn't know that I was an intercessor. And Tanya was like, you're an intercessor and you're carrying it too much. So I used to carry people's problems when I would carry them in prayer, and she could see it on me. And so I had to learn to mature as an intercessor, but that's our job. It's really not enough people praying. Let's be honest. Let's be for real. Like, it's really not. The enemy is having a field day out here. So it's not a lot of people praying. So I know I used to feel the same way about my grandma, Janelle. Actually, people used to come to her. She would oil them up, pray for them, pray for their court dates. They would get off and then go back out there and do some of the same things. And I was like, they pimping my grandma. But guess what? I got the mantle too. So I pray for people. I just had to mature in my prayer, like pray and let it go. Or either ask God, how do I partner with you? And we, because he need people to bring things here on earth. So how do I partner with you to pray for this person? Because I know you want me to do something. What is it? I don't know. And sometimes I hold back for a few days until he tell me exactly how I need to pray. Because I ain't going in praying where I feel like the person need. I need for you to tell me how to pray for this person, because they are really hurting. And I see that it's a lot going on in their life. And this is such thing as waiting for him to tell you what to pray so that we can be effective. Because I'm partnering with you. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be thinking about this person if it weren't for you.
See, and that's me. That I have the flesh side of me, and they look. Deliverance is real, okay? You wouldn't get nothing.
That part.
You wouldn't get nothing at all. So Jesus is real. I know, okay?
Corey, what did you put in the?
Corey, that's a great question.
Go ahead.
No, I was one of my friends, my mature friend. She was just saying, a lot of these men are going crazy because back in the day, a lot of the women were their therapists, and a lot of women, they had women who they can come home to, and they could, they have someone they could talk to and go through their issues and go through their problems or whatever. And I'm just asking, do you think women now are still willing to do that?
Some women are. I feel like you have women in this day and age that are very, very independent, very, very, very capital V's, and they go home to your mama if you want somebody to do all of that.
So that's your perspective.
A lot of women that feel that. I don't necessarily feel that way, but there are times where I be like, I ain't your mama now. Like, let's
got you, Mama.
It just depends. It really depends.
I don't know if he was breastfeeding a child, but I don't know.
It really depends. But I think too, like, when it comes to the deeper things, it really, some men don't feel comfortable. I mean, that's a whole thing on social media now as to whether a man should be honest and open with a woman, because she'll throw it back up in your face later. So it's a lot of men that kind of, feel some type of way about, really being open. So it depends, right? If he really feel open with you. I mean, at this point, knowing that that's a whole thing out there on social media, I really try to be mindful. If a man is opening up to me and he's talking to me about something, I really try to be mindful of it and, try to at least be a listening ear. But if it's all the time, it's kind of like when the phone rings, like, I'm not trying to hear that today.
You are his safe space. It
goes both ways, though. Do you feel like it goes both ways? Because
yes. What about me?
Those stuff back at me, and I'd be like, "Hold on now, wait a minute."
Well, that's true. It's crazy. It's crazy. I asked this.
Hold on.
That's a good point, Janelle.
My mother, she sent me this video about this preacher. I forgot the guy who was preaching whatever through, but basically it said that when a man becomes a husband, he also becomes a father. Or he becomes a father for the first time, and now once in that covenant, you become the father of the family. You have to lead the family. You have to treat the family like God treats his children. So you have to have that love and kindness, that listening ear, that long suffering, that patience. So I have to learn that even with my own issues, and I have to suck up a lot of time my own pride so that the young lady or whoever I'm serious about can be comfortable in my space. So she can be emotionally vulnerable, and then she can hold on. And once she feels comfortable, then she can make me feel comfortable, where I can end up being emotionally vulnerable to her. And now we can both help guide each other into a new territory.
I mean, we talked about that last time. If a woman is not if you're not emotionally aware of a woman, that you will struggle in your relationship. Because women, we want someone that, if I have to conquer the world, can I come home and you conquer home? Like it's y'all want a superwoman, but are you a superman? Like, you want a therapist, but can you be a therapist as well? Like, that's the reality.
I think for me, that's how I feel, Micaiah. I feel like, like I can be whatever you need me to be. And if I can't, and I need to, I need to go figure out a way and pray to God. Cause I was married once upon a time ago, and I used to pray and ask God to teach me how to be a wife to this man, for me not to assume. Right. So if I'm trying to be what you need, then I need that in return. Right. Because we women, we're going out in the world as well. And we're doing all the things that you're doing, but we need need a superman. And sometimes when it's not reciprocated, I think that's when you get a real angry woman, and a woman who is feeling like, you're not pulling your weight. I don't have, this strong man that I can lean on. So you begin to feel some type of way about it after a while, that if you're the person that's always being, or can you do this? Can you do that? And then you're not getting it in return. Yeah, you begin to feel some type of way.
Tired after a while.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the reality.
When it's one-sided.
Yeah.
When it's one-sided. I mean, there's certain things that should come along in a relationship. It just should. Respect, like Jeremy talked about. And a lot of times we don't respect ourselves enough to respect other people. If you have self-respect, then it's easier to respect. If you don't even know what respect looks like, then how can you reciprocate that? If you don't even know what love is, like love is patient, is kind, it does not boast, it covers, it's not easily angered. All those things come with love. You don't even know what it looks like or never felt that type of love. How can you expect someone to give you love back when you don't know how to love? And that's the reality.
People don't, because they don't know, they are looking at what they think love is, what they've seen in their family, what they've seen in their parents, what they've seen in movies, what they see on social media, what they think that these other people have. And the whole time they're not even ready. Like for me, they're like, why you been single so long? Because I wasn't ready. I was not ready. And nobody should have to deal with my stuff. Nobody should have to deal with what I'm going through at that time, at what I was going through at that time, because I'm no good for you. Yeah, I could cook, I can clean, I could do all the things that, are surface things, right? But when it gets down to no, I wasn't ready. And I was honest with myself. So I didn't date. So I didn't engage with men in that way, because I'm like, why am I going to even do that? And I know I'm not ready. And then I start, to like someone, and they start to like me. And then now you got to go through all my stuff, my emotional stuff.
It takes a lot sometimes too, Danielle, to get to that place for you to understand that I am a liability. And I think that areas you are a liability in, because we can fool ourselves by looking at certain situations and certain things. But I think for me, it had to get to a place where I'm not looking for validation outside of myself, right? And that took a minute. And sometimes I mean, they'll try to sneak in there sometimes now. But, one, not looking for that constant validation, like Jeremy said, like, oh, you didn't tell me you love me today, so I'm falling apart. Also just my trauma, knowing that, okay, have I really truly healed from this? Can I talk about it without crying? Learning how to handle emotions, and getting in touch with my emotions and things like that. So sometimes it takes a minute, because we be thinking we're good. Like, really, sometimes you do, until you get in certain situations and you're like, yeah.
Okay. So I was actually about to ask all y'all that we was going.
Are we ready?
So Jeremy, do you feel like, are you ready for marriage? Do you feel like you will be a success? No, you don't feel like you'll be.
And the reason why I'm saying no.
Okay.
The only reason why I'm saying like no, I'm not ready for marriage, is because I'm not in a comfortable place in my life for me to be able to commit to somebody right now. Like, when I say commit, like commit all of me to somebody right now. My time is very thin. Unless God says, yo, here's your wife, I'm not biting down on anything. Thank you for the delicious meal. I will not be eating it here today. Thank you.
Okay. Okoye, do you think, are you truly ready for marriage?
I would say yeah, but I would say you never really know. You just got to do it. And the reason why I say that, because when I look at my dad, he was 29. He was during my age when he had me, so 28. You never really ready. And I feel like we are more equipped than our parents were. So to be a good husband, I mean, long as you got people at McDonald's, like you ready. For me, in my mind, it's a mindset thing again. If you got people with you got, not to be derogatory, you got hood rats, in the projects with 5 kids. I feel like if they can do it, I feel like I can do it. It can't be that hard. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like you just got to do it, because you never know. You never know. I mean, I could say financially, all of us probably, I would want more financially, obviously, but I mean, you never really, you just got to do it. So I would say I'm ready. What I have now, I can work with it. You know what I'm saying? Give me a little bit, I can work with a lot. So long as I got a good woman that can hold it down, like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm ready.
What does a good woman that can hold it down look like to you?
To me, she got to be sexually attracted. I got to be sexually attracted to her, and I need her to be smart. She got to love God and all that good stuff, and just understanding. I think that what we're talking about today, all this trauma stuff, all this compassionate, and all this other stuff is more important than all of the other stuff we were previously talking about, as far as the looks. Well, looks is important, and the BBLs, and got to make this much and got to have that. I just feel like we got to get back to people, just you being a good person, and can you work with me, and can I work with you? And I think that's more important versus, we could deal with the trauma stuff. I don't want to nutcase, but I mean, I think that we just got to get back to the human part of it. Okay, listen, what's the end goal? What's the end goal?
Mm-hmm.
What we doing? You know what I'm saying? And okay, you got this going on. Okay, let's see if we can fix this. And well, this is what I got going on. It's just being a team player. That's all it really is to me. So I'm a good team player. I think I could be a good team player. So I think I'm ready. But are you really ever ready?
I mean, at some degree, you should have an understanding of what marriage is and what it means to God. You should have some degree. There are certain scriptures in the Bible that explains to you what marriage should kind of look like, or have an understanding. Just like, I said earlier, 2 is better than 1 because they get a better reward for their labor. How can 2 walk unless they agree? There are certain scriptures in the Bible, like the husband is supposed to die. My husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave his very life for it. You're dying. And then the wives are supposed to commit herself to the husband because the husband's there. Like, there are certain scriptures in the Bible that makes you aware of the reality of what marriage should look like at some degree. Just like Proverbs 31, it talks about a Proverbs 31 woman. We like to quote the scripture, but what was the mother truly trying to tell her son? What should the woman look like? What you should rise up early. Are you getting up and praying in the morning? Like, there are certain things that you should be doing that should be preparing yourself. Like you said, you want compassion. So you need to ask yourself, am I compassionate? Like, am I a compassionate person? Do I give to the needy? Will I help the sick? Am I compassionate? And that's the reality. If there are certain qualities you're looking for in someone, you need to ask yourself, am I this? Because what you put into your marriage is what you get out of it. So if you want peace, am I peaceful? If you want love, do I know how to reciprocate love back to her? Because everybody's love language is different.
And I think, like, that's a good way of looking at it. I think about, how, because marriage is a covenant, right? Unless you want to look at it as a contract. It becomes a contract when it's time to get a divorce, right? Because you got to go to court and go to everything. But to be honest, as Christians, it's a covenant. But what covenant have you actually kept? Like, have you kept the covenant with God? And that needs to reflect how ready you are to be married. Because if you cannot keep covenant with God, what makes you think that you're going to be able to keep covenant with a human being that's imperfect, that is not going to, they can't guarantee their word. They can't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there it goes.
It's real serious here. Like, we glaze over it, because, we say, well, I'm saved, but no, like, how saved are you? to what degree have you actually cut covenant with God? And to that degree, I believe you will begin to see how you will deal with other people. Because to me, I became more healed and more when I got real serious about my covenant with God. And then understanding how he could help me to be in covenant with a man, and have my head right, and understanding, what does a covenant truly mean, so I think that even when you look at how well are you relationshiping with God, like really, how good are you doing with that, and how well are you stewarding the relationships that you currently have? What are you doing? Are you actually being a good friend? Are you actually long-suffering? Because you got to be long-suffering to be married. Like, for real. A long time. And you got to be able to forgive 70 times, 7 times a day. Like, forgiveness is really real when you with somebody for a long time. And it's real easy to take the bait of Satan, which is offense and unforgiveness, and it goes into bitterness. So it's real easy. Like, you don't even think rational when you start to go down that path. It's you're not even right when you start, you get into offense, and now I don't forgive you, and now I'm bitter towards you. And that can easily happen in relationships.
Bitterness spoils the root.
I'm telling you, like, it gets really real.
If you become bitter in your relationship, it's spoiled. You're finna to damage your marriage instantly. Because it spoils the root. So if you're bitter towards your mother, your father, your friends, your brother, your cousin, you don't even need to get married. Because if you have bitterness anywhere inside of you, it spoils. It spoils everything around you. Because it's a root. If the root of the tree is bad, the tree dies. Man. So you're literally dying.
He's so happy when you don't forgive, because there's so many things you're not going to get because you're not forgiving. It's so many things you're just not going to be able to get them. He's so happy to make people. He's so happy for you to get offended. He sent people your way for you to get offended. And I had to look and think about that, because recently that happened to me, and I thought it was just, it's a job situation. It's this. No, he couldn't figure out no other way to impact me than
the spirit of offense.
Like, oh yes. And then I was like, oh my God. You just don't even see it at all. You don't see that you have gotten offended, and now you don't forgive, and now you're really wanting retribution, and you want vengeance on this person because they straight up did wrong.
I know I'm not healed from a relationship. I want to go slash his tires. I ain't healed. Something wrong there.
I also realized that what eyes are you using? Like, what eyes are you using when you're looking at yourself, when you're looking at relationships, when you're looking at situations? Are you looking at it from a spiritual perspective, or are you looking at it from the flesh? Because the flesh is going to be like, look.
That's a good question.
It ain't happening. But when you start looking at it from a spiritual, my mom, I hear her talking to me right now. She's always, telling me, well, what type of eyes you looking with? Like, what are you, because it sounds like spiritual warfare to me. So are you really paying attention? Do you really understand what's happening? Because you can't fight the flesh. You can't fight the spirit with your flesh. It ain't going to work. Right? You got to fight in the spirit. You got to pray. You got to, somebody, you got to have somebody praying with you, interceding, like all of these things. You have to, and you have to know the word, and you have to know God, and you have to continuously want to build and yearn for that relationship, because you are not going to make it on your own or in a relationship if you're constantly operating in the flesh. You can't. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. What are we going to say?
So D, if the right guy came to you tomorrow, you'll be ready tomorrow?
Wow. The right guy God sent, because if God sent them, then my discernment is at an all-time high tonight. If God says
right now,
then I'm being obedient. I'm being obedient.
Got you.
Because I feel like if he's sending him, then he gonna make sure we good. You know what I mean? As long as I'm following his word and doing what he's, then
Yeah, so, Veronica, if the right guy came.
Yes.
What you saying? I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
No, I said if God sent him, I'm ready.
You ready? Okay, Veronica, if the right guy came, you'll be ready tomorrow?
Yes. Yep. Tonight. Now.
Tonight. You think
Let's go to the courthouse.
Okay.
Okay, right now.
I mean, to say that I'm ready means that I'm ready to start, our journey, right? Because it's a journey to becoming one. You don't become one on like a wedding day, a ceremony. Like, stop, come on, that's overrated. It's the oneness of getting to know each other, to see where we align, to see where our doctrines meet up, because biblical doctrine is important. Like that's a whole like 6 months right there, just trying to get in alignment and trying to get the right lingo and the right talk. Like, let's start this. We can have an all night convo. So,
how can two
I can fall asleep talking to you. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot to talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Got you.
How can two walk unless they agree? That agreeing, our values and all those things need to line up, because we need to agree on certain things. There are certain things that we need to agree upon in order for us just to walk. And that's just the reality. So
you need to have discernment to know when someone's just agreeing with you just to agree with you, or just to agree with you just to shut you up. Yeah, right. Whatever you say, babe, no problem. I'm right there with you. And then the whole time he ain't there with you, or she ain't there with you, and then 3 months later y'all talking about something. But you remember when you said, I thought we was in agreement. I thought that was 3 months ago. So here we are. You still holding on to that. I done moved on from it, right? But you still back 3 months ago.
Now, let me ask you ladies this, and I'm sorry, Jeremy, I'm gonna let you get in. Whoever else want to ask a question. Y'all seem so advanced when it comes to the religion, thing. So, like, I don't know if my brothers, I'm speaking for myself. I don't know. I'm trying to catch up. So does that disqualify me from does that disqualify me? Because like you said, y'all women, normally Black women are the most religious out of all, groups of people, right?
You keep saying religious.
Spiritual, religious, whatever you want to call it.
Nah, religious is a good word.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, I got my little Bible over here, I got my little tithe offering, and I do love the Lord, but does that disqualify me if I'm not where you ladies are up? Most women, no, I'm being for real. This is the issue. And I was watching something else. Most women are up here when it comes to religion. I'm not saying us brothers ain't far behind, but typically most women, Black women, are up here when it comes to religion and just being religious. So if a guy is like, hey, I love the Lord too, I'm a good man, does that disqualify, does that disqualify me because we not equal, that don't mean we can't walk together. I mean, we can still walk together, but we just not knowledge-wise,
I think for me, it's come up on several occasions for me. I find that it depends on what the Lord is telling me, to be honest. If I have peace in my spirit and I feel like this is something that I'm supposed to be doing, is talking to this person, then I will continue to talk to them. If not, then I stop talking to them, right? But what I find is, I go to an African church. What I find a lot of times, since I go to an African church, is that I kind of do align more so with African men, because African men are very serious about their relationship. And that's because they come from Africa. And there is, there's a guy, I was hanging out with him the other night. He goes to my church. He's from Africa. He's from Nigeria. And, he told me, because over there's not a lot of options like we have here in America. He's like, one, you're either a Muslim if you're African, or you're usually a Christian. And they're very serious about their faith. I mean, I'm telling you, the conversations I've had with Nigerian men and their faith level blows American men out the water. They're just like,
cool,
completely out of the water. So for me, I feel like it could be too much for an American man, because he has so many options, right? I really don't believe in this now, or this, that, and the third. But when it comes to African men, and I've been at this church 1.5 years, and that's what drew me there, was this guy, he was at Walmart. He actually prayed for me. And I was like, what church this man go to? And he gave me like a flyer to come to his church. And I was like,
folks at the grocery store.
Don't be a hater.
Yeah, I met him at Walmart.
Aisle 7. Here we go.
Yeah, I was coming out of Walmart.
That's right.
I was coming out of Walmart, and he was like, do you have a church home? Are you saved? I said, yeah.
I need me an hour 7.
And then he said, I was like, I got a church, I'm saved. He was like, well, can I pray for you? I was like, sure. He was like, let me walk you to your car. Man, when I tell you that man started praying for me out there in that parking lot, I could feel God. Like, seriously, he was not playing with it. Not 1 ounce. And then when I came to the church,
did you find him attractive?
I thought he was, nice looking.
That was a no. That's a no.
So no, he is attractive.
Anytime a woman have to.
At the time, I wasn't really into African men like that. Like, me and Tony have a whole story in there because she had to really talk to me about it, right? Like, you could be running your husband away, because you're not open to dating Africans. So then after that, I started getting approached more by Nigerians. So I can honestly say it took me a minute because I was like, we don't talk the same language, we don't eat the same food. Like, in your head, you are married, and that's where you're gonna, if God begins to open things up, you've got to get past what you have in your head and what he may potentially have for you. So that was a whole nother thing. But yes, a lot of times it can determine whether we're going to be with you or not. Because if we're real serious about God and we know that, there's a place that God has for us, and we feel like we get with somebody and they're going to be like pulling me in another direction, or they just really don't want to believe what I'm trying to believe. Or if God really hadn't assigned us, like he could assign me to be with you for a certain period of time, or I just got to wait and see. Sometimes God makes you wait and see. And maybe he'll bring that person into the kingdom. But more than likely, I probably won't marry you until you have 100% sold yourself out to God, to the point where you're like, I love the Lord, I'm not turning back, and that's it. And you really need to be ready to talk to Pastor Steve, which is my pastor, and he's an African Nigerian man. So really, at the end of the day, you're going to have yourself together enough to be ready for the conversation with him, that you are ready to marry me.
Got you. So the question to that was, I just read your comment, Jeremy. So
you need your hour 7, Jeremy.
So you would be ready. Okay.
Yeah, right. I mean, I feel like, it depends. It depends on if God has assigned me that person. That doesn't necessarily knock you out. But if you really love the Lord, that's number one, right? If you really love the Lord, you're really trying, and your confessions seem to be on point, and it's something that God is telling me to do. I don't think that counts you out.
Okay. So he still got a chance. Or most men, you would say 2D, most men got a chance if, y'all know more. I would say with the Lord and stuff. But that's interesting that you said that, because my good friend is Nigerian, and he's out there more than I am, and I'm like, man, but his knowledge on the word and the Bible and just
crazy,
he's telling me things. It is, right? I'm like, man, wait a minute, so
they make you check yourself.
Yeah, like, but then but I know his dirt too now. I ain't gonna say it like that, but I'm just saying, like, I know the good and the bad. So it both go, it weighs, it goes both ways, So just because a man is good in one area, religion, I'm sorry, just because he's religious, just because he's religious don't mean he may be good in this area over here.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
What's more important to y'all then?
People that ain't no good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're religious. They go to church every Sunday and they ain't
I found that to be true. I found, there were a couple of Nigerian guys I went out with and talked with, and hung out with, that they were still carnal Christians. That's what that is. And then, but you were very, very knowledgeable of the word, very knowledgeable of God. But as I stated, I think the last time we talked, like, I'm not going to be able to fulfill your needs at this point in your life. So
carnal Christians, y'all want to
play? Devil know the word backwards, forwards, inside and out.
But you're still trying to snatch my clothes off.
But I'm gonna pray for you and lay hands, girl.
All right, y'all. This was an awesome session. So this is my closing with a question. Here we go. What is one thing going forward you will do differently in your relationships? Danelle, we're going to start with you.
I would say not be afraid. I haven't been in a relationship in a long time, but what I learned before was when I was going through, things emotionally and spiritually, I couldn't share that or didn't feel like I could share that with my partner. And I'm at a place in my life where I want that. I want to have a spiritual connection with my partner. You know, to me, that's the utmost, that's the most important, that's the top of my list. If we can't pray together, we can't call down heaven together, if we're not doing all those things together, then I don't want it, you know, because I don't want it when times get tough. I don't want to be the one over here on my knees praying and you just like, it'll work out. No, I need somebody in the trenches with me, you know? And so that's something that I definitely would say, you know, just to have somebody, not be afraid to talk about God, to share God, to pray with my partner, to share that spiritual side of me, to share God, to share my love for God with my partner.
Okay. Okoye.
What's the question again? Just ask me just for clarity.
Going forward, what's one thing you would do differently in your relationships after all these conversations we've had together? What is the one thing
you know what? I feel like I wasted a lot of my time with some of these women. I really should have just kept it moving. But I think I really wasted a lot of my time, a lot of my years with a lot of these women who just ain't get it together or didn't get it right. So I would not waste no more time. And yeah, just the waste of time. That's all. But I mean, it's time. I mean, you can get it back, you know.
Jeremy?
Not be in a relationship.
Not be in a relationship.
No, I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
That's a good question. What I do differently?
Yes.
I mean, in reality, I like I said, the main thing I felt like was just having that line of communication, right? And just letting each other know where we are and where we want to be. And if I can't provide X, Y, and Z for you, then, you know, I'll go ABC. As simple as that.
Okay. So communication for you. Okay. Miss Veronica, last but not least, one thing.
The one thing that I would do differently. It's kind of hard because I feel like I'm actually doing it before they get here, which is praying for them and, you know, like seriously praying for my spouse, that person who is supposed to be connected to me. And I mean, like, you know, just really like thinking of the person and they're actually there and asking God to help this person to grow in him. And I actually have, you know, what do they call them? Affirmations that my husband will not be a man who does not love the Lord. He will love the Lord the way I love the Lord. That my husband is not a man who doesn't love the Lord. He is in covenant with God because I'm in covenant with God. So I'm doing those things now, which was harder for me. I think when I first started kind of trying to think of this person and actually trying to, you know, pray for them. So I'm doing it before they get here and will continue when they get here. So I feel like my prayers, I'm praying into that relationship before it gets here, and asking God to help them to be strong, help them to be able to know me when we meet, and I will know him, and that the enemy will not trick him out of his blessing.
Amen. Amen. Well, guys, thank you for another great session. It's always fun. So my 3 takeaways is this. 1/A, it's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes happen in relationships, but we should be learning from them. 2/B, deal with your childhood trauma. Like, deal with it. Like, deal with it. Like, I mean, deal with it. And then
What's your mama?
3/C, prayer is important. And knowing God in your relationships is important. Well, y'all, thank you so much for another great conversation. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next time.